Thank you very much, Dr. Prabha, for the very kind invitation and introduction. I know that this topic is slightly different than many of the scientific main topics presented today, so I would like to open with three questions which we have to ask maybe with this presentation. And I really encourage you, and I hope that you will have some questions at the end. Otherwise, this is a kind of a naked presentation. So, can we improve our culture and our technique of our patient conversation to strengthen the trust between us oncologists and our patients? I think in these times, with the fast pacing progress of research and all these channels of communications, this is a key issue for the progress of oncology. The second point is, can we establish scientific platforms to strengthen both the perception and the needs for a continuous improvement of patient conversations in oncology? And can we then integrate such sessions dedicated to patient conversations in national and international oncology meetings? Yes, this starts to happen. We have such sessions now in Europe and in the US and here, and I very much appreciate this. And the last question maybe to discuss, how can we link our empathy and our care for our patients with our daily business, with our daily business-driven agenda in a productive way? So these are questions which I hope we can address at the end. So first, I would like to thank our patients for their trust, for their patience and the conversations we have. We learn both. The patients' families for asking, listening, and supporting the patients. All healthcare teams for their knowledge, also their humor, which is key, and the team spirit. And thank you all for listening here and for your critical questions. So we are all patients, and we all appreciate as patients that we can remain humans, that we see and feel empathy, that there is time for conversations, that there is a calming ambience, that we have easy to understand informations, a swift communications of the result. Every minute you have to wait for critical results counts. Excellence of staff care, the interdisciplinarity with synergies, which can be sensed as a patient, and then also top infrastructure and the quality assurance. And last but not least, the hospital, the healthcare region should not be in a deep financial crisis. So what are the essentials for a culture of conversation in patient care? I know this is very different in other cultures. I know that this is very different in other sites because priorities can change a lot. But you should be welcome as a patient in a place where you don't want to be. And so maintenance of a, say, clinical garden, that the patient feels welcome in an ambience where he doesn't feel immediate pressure of rational and business-driven algorithms, that can be helpful. The second, a patient information which should be clear, focused, illustrated, and well understood. And we have two patient informations. One is a very rational one for the radiation oncology pathway, and the other one was patient focus, where you explain the key steps from the first consultation of the patient to the last treatment of radiotherapy. So there are two different sets of informations. The third, I think we should be aware of the structure of the conversations we have. As healthcare giver and as patients, we have the same roots. We have a brain, a heart, and a soul. We have similar tribes. You want to remain human as a patient, and you want to be human as a caregiver. Then the branches are different. The patient undergoes cancer therapy, the caregiver delivers cancer therapy. And the flowers again are similar. Both sides want to live their lives. The second picture, our daily conversations, they grow from the roots to the flowers. And if we do it wisely, every conversation, we have the roots, the common roots, so we can continue a next day conversations based on the common roots. If we communicate our needs, we have to be to the point. It's very important that patients feel what is the core message? And how can we get to this core message and make this core message well understood for everybody? And as you know, if you make good synergies, if you group together what needs to be together, you can face every enemy. Even as a small piranha, you can face the shark and you're stronger. Vital ingredients of this communication is also that patients sense the empathy, the sensuality, and the creativity. And this is a visualization designed by AA with these keywords. So what is important for all of us, we live in a hospital environment or we live in a health culture which is driven by business. And how does business and controlling understand patient care? Probably for them, it's important to understand how we see patient care. And in common, we understand both sides, business, operating leadership, strategic leadership, and we as healthcare givers, that time, empathy, and knowledge transfer to the patient and relatives is important. Both sides understand that interdisciplinarity in patient care is important if it is holistic and comprehensive. Both sides accept that positive patient feedback is important and it can help to regulate follow-up care. Both sides agree that certifications and audits are important for quality. And both sides also agree that cooperation with leading national and international centers and networks is important, both for QA, for studies, for, I think, also strategic goals. What we don't agree, we as caregivers think holistic patient care is a key, but this is not always profitable. We as caregivers think that shortage of qualified specialist staff is a key issue for patient care, and business doesn't always understand this as the first priority. Lack of organization can be detrimental for healthcare givers, and now we see more and more a focus on technology and not on people, and this can be dangerous. And in Switzerland also we have a wrangling within the Swiss healthcare policy networks. I think everybody here present in this round understands how it works in your country or in your region, and you might have very similar problems. So what is also important, we have to live our strength as healthcare givers. And the 4 pillars of patient care are humanity, empathy, time, and knowledge. And as we all know, the first seconds matter in a patient and healthcare giver interaction. So we tried to have several other perspectives to strengthen this patient conversation, and I will now list a few of them. One is that we had writers and artists present in a special module for medical students, where we talked about the other view of palliative care. And with images from different painters, photographers, from medieval ages until today, and from short texts from writers also from the medieval ages until today, we try to make understandable with words and with pictures how palliative care can be seen from the patient side. This is one of these examples, a breast cancer patient who painted herself several times during breast cancer care. You see here with an alopecia after anthracycline-based chemotherapy. You see here in the right picture on top, 1 year after completing the whole treatment, and a very good prognosis because there were no signs for a relapse. On the bottom side on the left, that was the most difficult time for this patient while she was in the diagnostic workup, and it was not clear if she had localized breast cancer or metastatic breast cancer, and if this metastatic breast cancer was limited or extensive. In the middle, you see her exhaustion after completing the treatment immediately this day. And the picture on the right side bottom is the same has on the top right side relief, light, relaxation 1 year after the treatment with a very good prognosis. So as caregivers, we have to be careful because we are on the other side. We are on top, the patient is on the bottom. We are the specialist, we are healthy, we are well connected, and we are a national authority. And the patient has all the other sides. So he needs our hands and he needs our understanding. Two key moments in the communication with patients are the swift communication of diagnostic results. The wait is a burden, every second counts. We had two writers as patients in our clinics, and they said the most devastating moments were the moment they knew they were sick, the moment they sensed that they probably had cancer, but nobody was communicating what was going on. If it was serious, if it was treatable for getting back to the life, or if it was not treatable and another time counter starts, the way to death. And the second is give patient peace and space. Don't stress them always with other news, with more information, with additional informations. This is also very much appreciated. So I tried with my words to fix some of these moments, encounters of patients and healthcare givers in short micro stories. This was published as a book. It's also available as an ebook, so far only in German. And I give you one example. And this microstory was now published in a US journal, in a radiation oncology journal, and I will briefly read it. It's very short. It was based on an encounter of a mother with locally advanced and then metastatic breast cancer, and she was accompanied by her child, which was 7 years old. And based on the discussions with this child, verbal and non-verbal, this was a fictitious microstory based on these conversations. So it starts, little patient. He plays with a child and they're calling each other by a fictitious telephone. So little patient on the children's phone. Hello, doctor. I would like a white and a black car to visit my mother. And an umbrella, please. Little doctor, that's the friend, the child friend, the 6-year-old friend on the children's phone. Hello, patient. We are not a car dealership. We don't sell cars. We are a doctor's office that wants to make sick people healthy and happy. Little patient. That's exactly why I'm here. A white car picked up my mom from our apartment last week. She was carried down the stairs in a narrow bed and waved to me as she left. It was raining outside. I was soaking wet. And yesterday my mother went to heaven in a black car. That's what my father explained to me. But I'm not so sure about this. That's why I want to visit her now and ask when she's coming back home. This microstory was then accompanied by an editorial, and the rationale was explained why such microstories could have a place, say, in a text like narrative oncology, to explain specific encounters with patients without hurting the animosity of our patient healthcare staff interactions. You don't give any personal information. You don't have to ask the patient, to agree that such information can now be public. You just make it fictitious, so you cannot track which patient is behind such an information. And the last thing now, there will be a second stuff now coming up, a novel which is called Dialogues Prior to the Night, where a healthy human patient with a health staff friend dies. And he dies slowly, but he dies in a life-saving discussion, starting with his friend, with hospice care, and then by writing a diary with daily microstories written by him. And that's his option to step by step say goodbye to his old life and to accept a new one, which might last only for a few weeks or few days. So these are the references I briefly talked about. And now I think a discussion is key because otherwise it's just words. So I really would be very, very happy if you have critical, very critical questions and we can have a brief exchange. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your questions.